Well, I had a larger question. This is where you're gonna roll your eyes. Suddenly, the Cubs are potentially the best team in baseball. And I'll lay out my argument. I want to get your thoughts on this. But since June 9th, they have the second best record in baseball, believe it or not. We were talking about them as being one of the middling teams. Just what do we do with the trade deadline? Should they sell? Should they buy? Well, really, what's happened is they're one of the best teams in all of baseball. The only team with a better record over the last 2 months is the Atlanta Braves. And you might have noticed that the Cubs actually beat the Atlanta Braves in a series this past weekend.
Oh, they did. But
The
then what did they follow that up with?
Well, yeah, I know you love that. If only the Cubs had actually gotten a base hit in the ninth inning, with the runners in scoring position with nobody out, we'd have a little different narrative about that Mets series. But
no, it's not what you could have done. It's what you did.
You're right. But the Cubs have also, since June 9th, scored more runs than anyone in baseball, which I was shocked when I looked that up. By the way, I've heard these stats, but I confirmed them all. I found a new website. Maybe you already knew about this, and maybe everybody knows about it. It's called Stats Muse.
Yeah, you just punch in what you want and it spits it out at you.
It's nuts. I just found it this week, and I forgot how I even got to it, but I can't close it out of my browser because I don't want to forget about it. Like I don't think I will now that I've recorded it, but I've typed in so many different things, and it's got to be artificial intelligence or something that's because it generates graphs immediately for your query.
Yeah,
There's like animated pictures, like cartoon drawings of the player you're talking about.
it's fucking crazy, man.
It's unreal. So if you're looking to get deep into stats or looking for a time frame or whatever, check out Stats Muse. I'm sure there's probably several different ones, but that's the one I stumbled upon. So that's where I'm pulling a lot, and I will be pulling more and more numbers throughout the year on. But that's cool. You already knew about it. So June 9th keeps coming up. Cubs really started their run with June 9th. It's also exactly 2 months ago, essentially, and the season is essentially 4 months old. So that's half the season now that the Cubs have the second best record in baseball, and they've scored the most runs. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a leading question, but I'm going to say, are the Cubs the best team in baseball right now? You're going to say no.
Yeah, I'll go with no.
So I guess the next question is who would be the best team in baseball, or how would you quantify that? Whoever just has the best record overall?
No, I think you have to dig into like all the numbers. I think the Cubs are the best team in baseball for the last 2 months, I guess. You can't.
That was going to be my next.
You can't argue that. You can't argue that from an offensive standpoint anyway.
Okay. You're way ahead of me because that's what I was going to try to get you to agree to by the end of this. So.
I would say offensively they are. I would say they're becoming offensive in pitching right now and starting pitching. Their starting pitching is starting to decline. So like as a well-rounded game, like they were getting everything for a little bit there. Like Stroman was lights out. Steele was lights out. Steele's ERA just keeps rising, but he keeps winning ball games because he lets up 6 runs. The Cubs score 12 runs or whatever it be. They score enough.
Steele?
Yeah, Steele let up 5 the other day, and the Subs he had 5 earned runs. The start before.
Oh, you know what happened? Because his ERA is still under 3. It's like 2.5, I think. I know exactly the game you're talking about. They actually made a scoring change 2 weeks later and made it an error. So those are all unearned runs. So that came off of his ERA. So I think you're seeing, because if you look at his ERA right now, it's still I think 2.6 maybe.
Well, yeah, but it's 2.6 because at one point it was 1 something.
Well, okay. But
yeah, what I'm saying is if you went on and looked at his numbers, and I think I brought this up the last podcast, his ERA over I don't have the current numbers, but his ERA on our last podcast had gone up to it was like 4.86 over the last month.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared to defend Justin Steele because he's may have had 1 or 2 bad outings recently, but he's been pretty damn good. I know he won his last outing, but
and then you just had someone demoted to the bullpen from your starting rotation.
That's a problem. That's Drew Smyly. Yeah.
I would continue to say that Atlanta, just as is from a rounded team standpoint, is the best team in baseball. But
that's why I was so impressed the Cubs actually took a series from them.
Yeah,
because I was not expecting that at all.
Cubs are very good. They're a very good home team, though. That's on the road where they start to struggle, which they have more games on the road to play remaining on their schedule than they do at home.
They do still somehow have the easiest schedule remaining in all of baseball, which I was surprised by because they're on the road and they have more. No, that must be it. Yeah, they have more road games than home games. So
yeah.
But somehow it's the easiest schedule. So I thought that
it's weird because I just saw something the other day that said the White Sox had the easiest schedule. So
well, it's fluid, so that might change per series or whatever. So
yeah, I mean that's hard to quantify too, because if they just do that based on overall record. Again, someone might say like because the Cubs are what are they 4 games over 500 right now? You might go like, oh well, their overall record is, it's whatever, a 533 winning percentage or something like that. But like, so that makes so-and-so's schedule a little bit weaker because they're just a few games over 500. But it doesn't take into the fact that they've been playing like gangbusters for 2 months now.
Right.
So that shit just drives me nuts. Right. I mean,
drawing an arbitrary line in the sand and pulling stats.
Yeah, I mean, like just that the strength of schedule thing is hard to measure because one thing Hawk Harrelson always got right. It's not who you play; it's when you play them.
And it's probably every other episode we bring that up. Somehow.
I mean, it's so true. Like the Sox took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, but the Yankees are like beaten down at this point. They are not the Yankees from the beginning of the season.
I would think your Sox would be even more beaten down, but somehow not. You've rallied.
No, we have an over 500 record since we traded away all those deadbeats. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I hate that Giolito and Berger guys. I mean.
But I gotta say, like right now, I'm eating a little crow on my assessment of the Cubs of what I did to you on the last episode.
This is why I'm bringing it up.
I'm gonna admit right now, it doesn't mean my ultimate statement won't be true that they won't make the playoffs. But you know what? Now looking at it, I think your assessment was more correct than mine because if they can sign Cody Bellinger, which I could see him wanting to come back because. Why would he want to go somewhere else and risk losing the magic that the Cubs have tapped into for him?
That's a great point.
It is a great point.
I think I made it last week.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. I'm just building off of what you said. I'm agreeing with you for one of the few times, but actually we agree way more than we ever used to, folks. So like
that's not last episode. So
no, last episode was fun, but I was also
you were hammered drunk.
I was drunk last episode, so you get a little bit of a different take. But having watched the Cubs, like looked in on the Cubs and seeing how they've been playing, and even though it's at home, taking 2 out of 3 from a great Atlanta team, like you know what, they are building something good there. And kudos to Hoyer. It doesn't mean anything. We don't know what next year is going to bring, but if they can re-sign Bellinger and this team can play like they've been playing, and that's how they start off next year, but continue it, don't have like a major fall off in May when they went 10-18. Like they could already be back in the conversation as like the shortest one of the shorter turnarounds from what looked like was going to be a much longer process.
Yeah, it's crazy because you're making all my points for me. It's crazy how what a difference 2 weeks makes almost. But when you look at the full picture, it's been those 2 months that we're actually talking about. That it just sort of snuck up on me, maybe snuck up on a lot of people. Of course, they went on a massive winning streak for the last 2 weeks against, under 500 competition. But I don't mean to disparage your White Sox anymore, but that included the Sox and the Cardinals. But then they
included a split with the White Sox.
Was it?
No,
No, I don't think so.
I'm joking.
Like,
I thought I
no.
could fucking trick you right there.
Well, see, I can't see your face right now because of different things, so I wasn't sure what the fuck's going on. I'm like, that was not a split, but yeah, I mean, then the Cubs
Oh,
followed that up by winning 3 out of 4 against the division leading at the time Cincinnati Reds, and then of course the aforementioned series win over the Braves, which kind of legitimized their recent run. So I just thought it was amazing how everyone's perception has kind of shifted over the last couple weeks since we've been gone. I was definitely teetering on the edge whether they were going to go for it or not, or if they were good or not. That has definitely tipped one way, even though it was happening underneath my nose and I didn't even realize it. But of course, yeah, you brought up earlier the series loss to the Mets was I didn't see that coming. It was the game, especially the game last night. That was just a frustrating loss that they could have easily won. Just stop pitching to Pete Alonso. Like, what are we doing? He had 4 home runs in the series, like, and most of them were just meatballs. He crushed. Like he was
yeah.
hitting tough pitches. So I don't fully understand that strategy. It would be the Mets are that's a fucked up franchise, of course, that we've made
Yes.
fun of for years, but it's a fairly simple game plan. Just don't let Pete Alonso beat you, and they absolutely let him beat them. So confusing, but whatever. But yeah, that conversation went a lot differently than I thought. I thought I was gonna have to throw a lot more numbers, but you were making my points for me. So it's amazing what a difference a vacation will make.
Yeah. So just real quick to touch upon. So yeah, you're right. The Justin Steele numbers for July got changed because they took all those.
It was
But
huge. Yeah.
but in August he has a 4.76 ERA. So
Does he?
that's
Okay.
yeah, that's
Well,
that's
that'd be one
two
start.
games, 2 games.
Is it 2? Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Drawing a
believe the
blank.
last 2 starts he's let up like 5 around 5 runs or so. But the Cubs are scoring so many runs, it just gets glossed over. He's 2-0 with a 4.76 ERA. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, just
Well,
wanted to hammer my fucking point home.
yeah, wow. There you go.
Jesus.
Word Hole Media.